Hello, everybody out there in listener land. This is yours truly, Jalal Tariq, moderator of the UI Daily Show. And this is Daily Show number, I think, 20, if I'm not mistaken.
21.
Is it 21? There you go.
Sir.
I'm joined today by some very, very fine members of our UI family. I am joined by Jackson Ra. I am David, UI Jane, and my guy Terry Banks. I think that's everybody. I don't think I missed anybody. And what we're going to basically do is basically everything that we've done over the last, couple of months. We're going to sit down. We're going to give you what we think. Hopefully y'all will hit us up in the chat room, and we'll be able to, go back and forth. If you have some questions, hit us in the chat room or what have you. Now, before we get started, as we always do on all of our urban intellectual shows, the first thing we let you know is although the revolution will not be televised, it needs to be funded. So we are always pushing our membership drive for urban intellectual. That's $2 a day, $24 a year. You're going to spend more than that on bubble gum, blunt wrappers, and bad food. You can afford $24 a year to become a card-carrying member of Urban Intellectuals. But if for whatever reason you decide you don't want to be a member of this group and you just want to get some money, you can always get some money. You can go to urbanintellectuals.com/members if you want to join, or you can go to urbanintellectuals.com/donate if you just got, disposable funds like that you actually want to spend on us. Now, that being said, subject number one. I'm sure that everybody has heard already about the situation with Adrian Peterson. And if you don't know, let me give you some background on it. Adrian Peterson is probably one of the three best running backs in the NFL right now. $100 million contract, just generally good guy. Came to fame a few years ago while he was in college, and he was in college tearing it up. And Oklahoma, right? I think it was Oklahoma. In any event,
Oklahoma.
His father was in prison. His father didn't raise him other than through letters that he sent to him from prison. So he had never got to see him play until the brother got, I want to say, his last college game or for the national championship or something. It was the first time he got to see him play outside of TV in the rec room in prison. So Adrian Peterson has always been held up by the NFL and by sports writers in general as being like the paragon of this is what you could make of your situation. No matter what circumstance you're born in, this is what you can do. All around general good guy. Coca-Cola backed his foundation. They doing good things in the community, everything. This brother was beyond reproach, other than the fact that he got 16, 17 kids running around America, but that's a whole other story. In any event, the brother disciplines his son. His son is 4 years old. And according to, and I guess we've all seen the pictures, the boy had bruises on him. He had little small cut marks and lesions or what have you. And, of course, now the world has basically collapsed around Adrian Peterson. He's been banned from all team activities. He's been dropped by major corporate sponsors. Major corporate sponsors have threatened to drop the Minnesota Vikings, period, and not give their money to Minnesota for them endorsement deals, all because the brother whooped his son. Didn't kill his son, didn't really hurt his son. And I know we gonna hear the whole thing about, domestic violence and violence toward children and corporal punishment, and I get it. But maybe I'm not cosmopolitan enough. Maybe I'm just that person that I didn't grow up in this era, so I don't see things the way you guys see things. I done got my ass whooped with switches, pieces of wood, raw leather, extension cords, the polyurethane lines that people used to use to hang their clothes outside before, dryers was in every apartment in the hood. We basically talking about some ass whoopings. Mama ain't never held me up against the wall and broke my ribs or nothing like that. We ain't talking about that. We talking about when I went down there and bust in people's windows 3 doors down, Mama beat my ass. Mama would be in jail in 2014, as I'm quite sure quite a few of our mothers would be in jail in 2014. Are we going too far? Thoughts, UI? Whoever wants to jump in first. I don't have a pecking order.
I think it's a bunch of bull crap. I always say my kids in sets. My first set of kids, I put them often, and they're well disciplined, well behaved. But that baby who's 4 years old, I don't discipline her that often, and she's out of control. Not that out of control, but I have to get on her now because I could see where it could lead to. My mother beat the crap out of me. I remember going to the store to some friends. They wanted to steal something. I was like, no, I'm just going to go home because if my mama find out, she's going to kill me. That's what whoopings did to me. They deterred me. The thought of getting a whooping deterred me from a lot of things I could have did wrong. Because I knew had I done those things and got caught, my mother would have beat the crap out of me. What I don't understand in this society is, first of all, you have to go back to why we whoop our children. Back in the days during civil rights and, Jim Crow and slavery, we beat our kids because if we didn't beat them and Massa got to them, Massa would have killed them. So that's where that term, I whoop you because I love you enough that I'm going to do it because I already know what he's going to do to you once you get out into society. If Massa catch you doing this, he's going to try to lynch you. He's going to hang you. He's going to beat you way worse than I would. So I'm going to beat you for it because if I don't, Massa will. And that's how it is now. It's no different. We're all crying Nike and Budweiser and CoverGirl and all these people are threatening the NFL about dropping endorsements, but where's the endorsements where's the outcry for the child abuse against Mike Brown? There were no outcry against the child abuse against Trayvon Martin because that's the worst type of child abuse. And it's what I don't get. And I always say the government is too big when they can dictate how I whoop my child. Not child abuse, but if the government can tell me how I can and can't whoop my child, the government has gotten too big. Because at the end of the day, Texas leads this country in death penalties. So you mean to tell me you could kill my child? You could inject my child with this needle and stop my child from breathing, but you don't want me to discipline my child? That's too much. That's entirely too much. We all know as black people, and that's one thing that white people need to understand as to why black people discipline their kids the way that they do, because if we don't have the same set of rules. So when my child does something wrong, I have to punish him differently than you may want to punish your child, because when your child goes through the court system, they get a slap on the wrist. But when my child goes through the court system, they get the book thrown at them. So you're right, I'm going to discipline my child the way that I see fit, so that when he get out in your cruel world, you won't have to do it. But at the end of the day, we have to realize they want to discipline our child because when they discipline our child, it makes them money. In any type of way that they decide to discipline our kids, it's going to fan their pocket. So, of course, they're not going to want us to discipline our kids. Because then once we get our kids in line, they lose money.
Erica.
Huh?
I don't mean to cut y'all off, but I don't think that we're on air right now. Everything else is fine, but it keeps clicking back and forth on and off of air. Now we're back on air, but it seems to only last about 20, 30 seconds before it pops back off. So I have to look at this right quick. But right now we're on air, still being recorded. So go ahead, continue your thoughts. And if I don't say anything, I'm in the background trying to figure this out. Okay? And I hope everybody else out there that's listening to us or trying to reach us on the web, I hope that you guys will forgive us because we're having technical difficulties. Now we just pop right back off. Nope, we're on. I don't know. In any event, now we're off.
That's why I need you our example on right now so she could explain. They don't want us to know or they don't want us to talk about them losing money once we decide to discipline our kids. Because we make up, we make up the criminal court system. They kill our pockets with the criminal court system. So they don't want us to put the information out there that, hey, you start disciplining your child at home, then that's going to lose us money. We start to lose on that end.
Okay. Well, we're going to go forward with it, and we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that everything is going to stay up because now we're starting to get chats and everything. So in any event, Jackson, what you think?
First, I guess my first angle is, I think the NFL is full of shit. I think the Minnesota Vikings is full of shit. I think the only reason that they're creating any kind of backlash out of this is kind of like the Ray Rice thing. Nobody was upset until America found out. Because with the Peterson case, this happened how many months ago? This was 2, 3. This was like training camp information. The story broke then. The pictures broke. Everything broke then. So they had all the information that they needed. But again, it wasn't until the electronic lynch mob and social media caught wind of it and started making a big issue out of all this that they decided to jump on board and decide to discipline or try to sever ties with Adrian Peterson, which we know all of that came about because of the sponsors pulling out of the support where I think the Radisson pulled out, then Budweiser, and then a couple of other large entities, which Budweiser has a $6 billion sponsorship with the NFL. So once they started making noise, obviously the NFL was like, hey, we got to take this shit seriously, apparently. So I think that that's the only reason any of that came out individually. But now we back on. But so I guess individually, as far as a parent, I believe in corporal discipline. I believe in spanking your child, whatever you want to call it, using switches. I don't have any problem with any of that. You talk about the generational divide. That's something that's obvious in this here situation. We definitely have a racial divide because white people seem to not discipline their children the same. But I do believe that Adrian Peterson might have went a little bit too far. Anytime you have those types of marks on the child's body over a week later, like, could you imagine what they looked like that day? He must have went ham, and then it's a 4-year-old. Now, right. I believe in disciplining the children early, so I like the age. I believe you just set the tone at that age, but you don't gotta, you don't have to create those type of lacerations on his legs. As a 4-year-old, like, come on. But I believe in disciplining physically at that age, so I don't have any problem with that because as they grow, then you can kind of step back and you don't have to be as aggressive because it's implanted in them that, oh crap, dad is serious. Then you can start with the eyes and the body gestures and, like, man, you better stop. Right. So that's like the practice that I know I've implemented on my children. One is now a teenager, and at this point, I may get in his butt a little bit, but I don't have to nearly as much as anybody else just because it's ingrained in him that, oh crap, there go that look that dad's giving me. I know where this goes. Let me get back in line or, damn, I was wrong or whatever. So I definitely believe in corporal punishment. I think, spare the rod, spoil the child, that whole thing. But I just think he might have just went a little bit overboard. He clearly blacked out or something because I believe that he's a loving guy. He's a decent gentleman. I don't think that he would consciously just, create that sort of situation on his child. So he had to black out something. He just went too far. I guess that's really my stand.
I would say that I haven't been whooped with a switch before, and being light-skinned, the mark's going to linger on a little longer. What I will also say though is, I could care less. That's that man's business, his household, and if he's not doing something that, if the public's not looking, will cause him to be indicted or charged or in jail. That's that man's business. That's Ray Rice's business. It's only first of all, the NFL has a security team that's akin to the FBI. Whenever you could go in for an interview as a recruit or after being drafted, and they ask you about your mother's days as being a whore, then they do their diligence and they find out every fucking thing about each player and employee that works for them. You know how much stuff they have that they keep in hush-hush right now? I mean, this is such bullshit. Cover girl? Hey, cover girl, guess what? Ben Roethlisberger is playing this weekend, and he's raped a 19-year-old drunk college girl, and he's constantly being accused of rape. This guy has a habit of this, and he's playing right now. You're outraged? And see, this is what kills me about these people, that these same corporations, these same conservative folks are doing this internet lynching and all this shit. These are the same people that back what Israel's doing in Palestine. These are the same people that back every damn war resolution that's brought by this country. But kids are being maimed, killed, burned, and every fucking thing else. It's not even comparable what's going on, what these people are doing in our name, yet you're going to be all up in arms because somebody seen you wasn't pissed off at first. Come on, give me a fucking break. You know what? I've always said there was so much focus on the issue with Mike Brown and Ferguson, and everyone was so focused on that. We talked about it here, how to keep people focused. Well, you know how how you distract people? By shit like this. Because people just love sensationalized stories and shit. This is Hunger Games. That's all it is. You to keep you distracted from the bullshit going on. They give you, they appeal to your lower qualities. Now everybody's judging. Oh, this is horrible. He needs to not have his job. Oh my God, this is horrible. I would never do that. Yeah, well let's put cameras on your life and follow you 24/7, and let's see how proud you are of your actions. I mean, give me a goddamn break. I mean, someone just brought up the whole idea of spare the rod, spoil the child. That's a biblical verse, but it also says, judge not lest you be judged. And you, without sin, cast the first stone. These men are losing their livelihoods. And Adrian Peterson, arguably the top guy. So that's a message to me. Okay, he's the top running back in the league. That's a message to me because we know how much this world loves their athletes. If they could take this man down, what can they do to me? This is messaging on so many levels here, okay? And so this whole thing has got me pissed. This whole thing has got me pissed off, because they tried to distract us with the whole black on black crime when everyone was focused on Ferguson. We pushed back against that shit. They tried several different ways. Okay, now TMZ has become the the go-to for. For news as a news source. You mean to tell me CNN and Fox? None of these people had the ability to get a hold of this footage. Give me a goddamn break. This is bullshit, and it's a shame that people have just bought into a hook, line, and sinker. And they're bringing out Robin Givens to talk about this. Really? Okay, look. Domestic violence is this: man on woman. Woman on man on man, woman on woman, adult on child, child on adult, and child on child. We always talk about men on women. Okay, this is a divisive tactic because now when everybody was focused on Ferguson, man and woman, now everyone's drawing the lines. And so and very few people have the position. Very few people have the position that could cause them to be objective in this case. They just pick a sides, and these folks at the top sitting back laughing they sick fucking heads off. This has got me so pissed off, man. This is ridiculous.
I see. TV, what you think?
Well, let me preface by starting with this. if these laws about how hard parents can whip their children were in place when I was little, I would have been taken away from my mom. There's just no other way to put it, because she used the switch, she used the extension cord, she used the belt, she used the Hot Wheel track. She used whatever she could find.
I forgot about the Hot Wheel.
You know, I was so pissed off when she whipped me with the Hot Wheel track. I took it outside and melted that shit. I mean, I melted the whole track. I was pissed. You know, I'm like, you gonna take the Hot Wheel track and whoop a brother? You know, but you know what? Now let's look at this. Would putting me in foster care back then really have been the best thing for me? Would placing me in the hands of total strangers had been the best thing for me? And the answer to both is hell no. Being with the woman whose womb I came out of would clearly have been the best thing. Now, what's going to happen next? Are people going to start reporting parents for showing their kids too much love? If they see me hug my daughter or give her a kiss in public, are they going to start accusing me of being a pedophile? You see, so where is this going to end? So that's the first thing, is this really about the welfare of that 4-year-old boy? And the
Hell
answer is
no.
It is not about him.
No. And this is the same tactics they used in Germany, man, right before, you know, Hitler took over. Same tactics. They restricted the economy so bad that people were forced literally, well, not just restricting the economy, but what they also did was, hey, if you want to eat and if you want, you know, you want a comfortable life, hey, guess what? We're looking out for terrorists and people who's breaking the law. Become our eyes for us. And people start snitching on each other left and right, accusing each other of being Jews and everything else left and right, just so they could get them some bread and get them a little trinkets, whatever. And that's the same thing they doing now. You know, everyone got a camera phone. Hey, if you see some, make sure you let us know. Hey, we looking out for ISIS and we looking out for this, that, and the third. I mean, give me a damn break. This is the exact same tactics they used before, and you know, this is a whole, you know, before we know it, you know, because they already militarized the local police department. I mean, that's done. Okay, that's done. It's done for a reason, and people we're caught having to debate these topics, and people like us, we're trying to push back against it because we're trying to inform people of what's going on out here. But you know, at the other level where you know, you're not trying to inform people, you just kind of go on about your daily lives and dealing with the stress of or whatever. It's easy to be distracted, and that's what people are at this point. They're so distracted, and no matter how much we push back, we really can't compete against what they got out here. I mean, they have so many radio stations and media outlets, and I mean, they just come constantly to the point where, you know, are we going to argue and push back against every damn thing? I mean, I don't know. I know you guys can hear frustration in my voice. I know you can, because you know,
absolutely.
But it's like this here. We're going to repeat history because most of us either don't know or we forgot. You were talking about hidden colors before we came on. Most of us don't know about that stuff. Most of us don't know that George Washington Carver was castrated and was a eunuch and all this. We don't know that. We know about his genius, but we don't know what he went through. You know, so there's a lot of things we don't know. We're going to repeat some of this stuff because we either don't know or it's been forgotten. You know, we in this whole post-racial society. So
okay, well let me ask another question. Let me ask another question, and we're gonna dig a little deeper. Terry, you brought up a good point about foster care. I wonder, do people really realize that it's instances like this, not necessarily in his case because he's got somewhat of a bulletproof vest in the fact that he's filthy rich for now. He's filthy rich, so he can afford the best lawyers. They're not going to go at him like they would go at, you know, Bobby Smith down the street who whooped his kid with a switch. They could very well lose their children because they can't defend against the power of the state, right? Now, as a person who has, you know, firsthand experience with foster homes, I came up in a foster home. Most of my brothers and sisters came up in foster homes. And although we came out okay, you know, we, for the most part, you know, we're not bad people or anything like that. We ain't, you know, tearing up the city no more. You said, notice I said no more. We ain't like that.
Yeah, I caught that.
We fairly successful people. There are literally millions of little kids in these foster homes, which has become a racket that are not doing as well as they possibly could. And sometimes, if you burning your kid with an iron, or you locking them in the closet for 3 and 4 weeks and feeding them bread and water, that's different. That's a crime, But I have seen videos online, as well as witnessed incidents in my own life's experience, that a child may do something. The child may be 13, 14, 15 years old, bigger than his mama or whatever, and mama cracked him with an ashtray or something like that. She could go to jail. However, because the police didn't get involved, now he learned how to, put his little nuts back in his pocket and not challenge his mama, grew up, graduated from college, become a doctor, all that. You see what I'm saying? They not necessarily making bad kids if a parent goes a little bit overboard, or what we would consider a little bit overboard, because, boy, you can best believe this generation got it good. Y'all didn't get them ass whoopings like we got them ass whoopings. You see what I'm saying? But to go into that foster system where people are paid to house our children, and sometimes some of these foster homes have 15, 16, 17 kids in it. And guess what? They get government assistance. That's the people you see at Walmart with the 2 carts with $1,600, $1,700 worth of food in it. That's because she got a foster home with 8 babies in it. You see what I'm saying? And then if the kid gets to be 12, 13 years old, can't stand the abuse, might have, it might be some sexual stuff going on, because here's 2 kids that you done put into a home. One's 14, one's 15. They are not brothers and sisters. Fuck what the law say. She don't know him. He don't know her. What you think is going to happen when a 14, 15-year-old kid start living in a house together?
Antoine Fisher.
You see what I'm saying? This is what's going on in these foster homes. But everybody's, like David saying, everybody's on this latest little trip, and they don't realize that when you giving your opinion, that's fine. You see what I'm saying? If you don't agree with it, that's fine. I'm with you. You got the right not to agree with it. But, bro, you don't live with me. So stop looking through my windows. Everybody need to stop looking through his windows, Ray Rice's windows. Everybody that's involved in these quote-unquote domestic violence, y'all need to quit looking through them windows, because somebody might one day look through yours.
This is true. Can I jump in for a minute?
Sure.
Here's the way that you would be able to expose all of these frauds who are coming out here and so holier than thou and acting as if they're so terribly offended. If you were to give your kids over to them and say, you know what, I'll sign my children over to you, and I'll go ahead and let you raise them so they can stay with you. I want you to show me how to raise my child. I promise you, these frauds would give you all kinds of excuses about why they couldn't do it. And they would. So my response to them is, you should just shut your lame mouth. You have nothing to do with a person's personal life. And that's what this comes down to. Both of these acts, both by Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson, were personal related acts. Ray Rice didn't go out and just start punching white women in the face in elevators. That was his woman. Right or wrong, that's their personal relationship. Had nothing to do with the National Football League. Adrian Peterson, that son is from his seed. That's not some white man's son. That's not some Indian or Jewish or anybody else's son. That child's seed was produced by Adrian Peterson. So that's his child. So you're taking 2 personal incidents, bringing them out in the public spotlight, and then saying, oh, my God, these men are terrible. Look at what they're doing in their personal lives. Now, conversely, to show you why this is about money, let's look at the white boy Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart just recently killed Kevin Ward Jr., ran him over with his race car and killed this man. Kevin Ward is in a box right now under the earth. And Tony Stewart has not been charged, is still racing, and still has a mad slew of sponsors supporting him. I had to check this out. I was like, now, if this isn't a case of black, white, and you can see where there's 2 different levels of judgment, this is one we all need to look at. So you look at Tony Stewart. I said, well, let me see what has Tony Stewart lost any sponsors. So I said, well, how do I do that? Okay, well, let me go to his website. So I go to his website and I look at his partners and I want to see who's still sponsoring him. This fool still has 17 major corporate sponsors. And Kevin Ward is dead because he was run over by Tony Stewart. So I said to myself, well, are white people upset about this? Are they mad at Tony Stewart? Man, they are all blaming the white boy, talking about if he wouldn't have got out of his car, he'd still be alive. And the DA is political, and this is all some political bullshit. And Tony Stewart is fabulous, and he's great. And long live Tony Stewart. But at the end of that instance, Kevin Ward Jr. is dead. Adrian Peterson's son is still alive. Janae is now Ray Rice's wife, and she's still alive. But Kevin Ward is dead. And you're not even focused on the fact that this man is taking a life.
About that. And
I
consider myself kind of halfway well read. I had forgot about that. That happened, a couple of months ago, right at the height of the race. He did that on the track in front of 70,000 motherfuckers.
All you got to do, if anybody wants to see it, if anybody's listening, if any of y'all want to know, you pull it up and you just type in Tony Stewart crash video, and YouTube will show the video. You're going to get different levels of it, but they'll show it. So, and I hear the intro coming on, but I'll talk on through it so that we can continue. But I just had to look and see. He has, I'm going to name these real quick: Bass Pro Shops, Mobile One, Rush Truck Centers, Code 3 Associates, Chevy, which is a major sponsor, Coca-Cola, JB Ryder, Arctic Cat, Jimmy John's, GoDaddy, Haas Automotive, Oakley, Bad Boy Buggies, Outback Steakhouse, Aspen Dental, State Water Heater, Simpson, New Balance, Ellen Nunn Associates Architects, Celeb Calls, and Featherlight Trailers. All of these people still support this one white man who has run over another white man and killed him. Now, should not he at least have had those sponsors do what they're doing with Adrian Peterson and say, hey, just for the time being, Tony, until we can really find out what your intent was, we're going to pull our sponsorship? Should that not have been the case? But yet you see with the black athlete, they're rushing to say, oh, my God, we don't want to support this kind of person. Okay, so again, if you're talking about justice and equality and fairness in these decisions, the two victims from the two black men are still alive. The victim of the white boy is dead. So there's clearly, you can see this double standard and why I don't take these things seriously. And who is Anheuser-Busch to say that they're going to pull sponsorship? You're a beer manufacturer. You help get people drunk. You help make people drive with DUIs. You help people pee on themselves and vomit and throw up and come on. You're not of the moral class.
Watch this though. Let me give you another example of the NFL. In the NFL, we bring up Roethlisberger, but dig this: Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, is being sued over sexual assault right now. Right now, like this month in September, he's under allegations, and there is a suit in place that he has sexually assaulted a young woman. Remember when the pictures came out? Right. He's grabbing her breast, got her bent over, or whatever the case may be. All it is, but there's no Roger Goodell talking about it. There's no moral outrage in the community by the people. But same with Tony Stewart that you brought up. But what kills me is black people jumping on the bandwagon to throw, Peterson and Rice under the bus. But I didn't see nobody talking about Tony Stewart. I don't see nobody talking about Jerry Jones. So we are our own damn problem. Not that we started the thunderstorm of social media outrage where that comes from.
That's faux show.
But it's just it's mind-numbing to me to see how many of us who has been bought in hook, line, and sinker that's going to rain on this parade but be silent on other issues.
I think you're always going to have, we know what we call them. We call them house ends versus field ends. And you're always going to have those people who are going to, jump on that other side and then want to come down on me to show the white man, see, look, I'm more like you than them. So, we have to accept that those kinds of people exist that are going to try to
but the sheer volume I think it's bigger than just the house niggas. You know, it's the sheer volume is crazy. I just think it boils into how we are just unaware. I always call us politically retarded because that's who we are as a people. We don't see anything in connection to the greater society or the greater happening here. It's always just in this small little moment. So you have, you know, everyone from corporate executives all the way down to the minimum wage workers all pouring in on Ray Rice and all these other black issues and Mike Vick. They hopped on that bandwagon, you know, but there's no cognitive understanding of the bigger picture. It just, I don't know. We're such a retarded people. That's not a nice thing to say, but it's the truth.
Well, you got a lot of us have sold out. And again, I just think it comes down to, you know, we do categorize ourselves in that sense. And we say, you know, some of us couldn't wait to get in the house and be with Master. And other of us just said, hey, I'm going to be as black as I can be in this field because I'll never go out there and go in the house with Master. So it's the same thing in 2014. You got those that are very happy to be with, you know, corporate America and to be with, you know, white folks and siding with them and going joining their country clubs. And they're the ones who are always going to come out in mass and say, oh, my God, look at what those black people are doing, as if somehow they have suddenly become Caucasian from birth. And it's something my battles are this. I fight the battles I can fight, and those that I can't, I just leave to the Lord. So those kinds of people, what can I say about them? I've made my point. You're irrelevant to me. My focus would be on the soldiers and the warriors who understand what we need to do to take us to another level. So those of us who remained in the fields, we're the ones that are saying this is what we need to do to try to move ourselves forward. Let's recognize where the racism exists. Let's see if we can attack the problem by moving ourselves forward and see if we can sustain ourselves without these people's input or without these people's money.
Erica, I ain't heard from you in a while. Are you still with me?
Yes, I'm still here.
Come on, you know how we are. We like sharks,
yeah.
So
yeah, I know. I'm listening to what everyone's saying. I'm definitely agreeing with what everyone is saying. But you know, it goes back to we can never let them in our business. In the moment that you decide to be for sale for them, and what I mean by for sale, when you decide that you're gonna be bought, whether you're a ball player, an entertainer, anytime you decide to be on their side to entertain them, then these are the consequences. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with Jameis Winston. The story came out today about him being suspended for half of a game with Florida State when he played against Clemson. And this goes back to this young man. He's from my same hometown I'm from. I hope he's paying attention to what's going on with Ray Rice and what's going on with Adrian Peterson, because this young man is going to be bought. Pretty soon he's going to go into the draft and he's going to be bought. And it won't be long before he messed up. And I hate to say it because he's doing it in college right now, and he's going to get thrown under the bus. So at that same time, why can't we discipline our kids so that when they go out into your society to entertain you, to make you make money for you, why can't we train them to behave the way they should behave? Because as soon as they misbehave, Adrian Peterson, Michael Vick, Ray Rice, countless of others, as soon as they misbehave, you're going to throw them away. So it's our job as parents to train our kids. And in this country, we're supposed to be what? What percentage of this country is Christian? It's 60% now, I'm not sure how much. But if it's supposed to be a Christian nation, the Bible says spare the rod for the child.
Well, I guess that's the whole separation of church and state. You know, that's just what you do on Sunday. You say that stuff and then go back to living in the real world Monday through Saturday, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a feel-good thing. Because the last I checked, a rod was not your hand. A rod, if I had to choose between getting hit with a rod, and I know, it's not literal, but if I had to get hit with a rod versus a switch, I'd choose a switch any day.
Well, I've heard a different or kind of an alternative version of how that particular verse is supposed to be actually interpreted. That we tend to see that as meaning beat your kid with a rod. But the alternative version I heard of it is that at that time and in that particular situation, the rod that they were talking about was the staff that the shepherd used to carry to guide the flock. And that's what that verse actually meant, that you were supposed to take that rod and shepherd and guide your children onto the right path so they'll be better people. And
including,
he basically
including pop them every now and again with it.
Yeah, well, and now and then, you might accidentally hit him upside the head or something. But for the most part, you just guide.
I have 7 children. All right. I have one son. I'm 36 years old. I have a son that's, after this year, we heading off to college. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is almost 6 feet, damn near 200 pounds, probably 3 to 4% body fat, runs a full 40, extremely strong, just the best physical attributes that was in my genetics came out in him because I'm nowhere near any of that, okay? I disciplined him, and I have another son who was born 5 pounds, okay? And he's straight up the run. I can't do to the son that was 5 pounds at birth what I could do with this son that has grown to be, NFL size at 17 years old. Okay, punishment to Adrian Peterson and the same punishment to me may kill me. Okay, we can't always get caught up in comparing. I think someone already made the point comparing what happens from one kid to the next. Every kid and every person is different, just like every group is different. White folks, you heard them. It was a thing that comedians made fun of. Hey, I don't do the whole timeout thing, right? The white folks like, you go take a timeout, and try that with one of my sons here. They look at you like you're crazy, okay? So spanking sometimes is necessary. But the other point that Erica was making is that, they interfere so much in your life to the point where they take away from you the authority to guide or discipline them, okay? Because when you're a star athlete in one of these schools, you get pampered, okay? The teachers give you A's just pass you along, just keep you in the game. You are shown that you're different from the masses, okay? And that affects how, how your parent, if your parent is there, if both parents are there, could discipline the child. Add to the fact that I remember coming up in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s, kids were starting to divorce their parents, and they was always having some kid on TV divorcing his parents, right? Or calling DCFS. Oh, I'm a threat. I'm gonna call DCFS on you. That became, and that was another thing that we used to joke about. The comedians, black comedians, used to get on like, oh, you gonna call DCFS? Well, here's the phone, and after I get through beating your ass, you can go ahead and call them. Okay. So, and that was part of them interfering in how we deal with our children. Okay, so you had the last couple of generations that really have not really been disciplined the way the previous generations were. A kid in 1950s, 1940s that's 16 years old will lap any 16-year-old child now when it comes to being able to survive in the world. Okay, these kids are soft. They ain't been disciplined. You wondering why they running around doing all the crazy shit they doing? Give me a damn break.
David, I got one better for you. I heard a cop say when I was taking my juvenile justice class, a white cop said, we talked about, disciplining your kids. This white cop said, I get child abuse calls all the time. And he said, by the time I leave there, a lot of the times I want to lock the kid up. He said, because what I realize is the kids that get time out are the kids that need timeouts when they become adults. The kids that get disciplined as kids, the kids that get whoopings or spankings or whatever you want to call it, he said they don't need timeout. And he said, but what parents don't understand is giving a child timeout. The timeout as an adult is the prison system. He said a kid get a whooping and call me. He said I fuss at the kid. He said I believe in whooping and spanking kids. He said, because I'm tired of these poor brat kids getting away with stuff, and then their parents decide to whoop them, and they don't know how to take it. So you will find some police officers, and I praised him for even saying it. He said, I put my kids, white guy, he said, I put my kids, he said, I refuse to put one of my kids on timeout. He said, what does that do? But again,
we're talking about a nation that will kill people, beat people down in the street, and is always at war going to tell you about whooping your kid. That is such hypocrisy. But give me a break with that already.
But wait. I got a different way of looking at it, though. I think that one of the reasons why we are somewhat ineffective with our counter argument to this whole so-called government in my life type argument is we are directing it toward the wrong people. The police don't give a shit if you kill your kid. It's who sent the police. Guess what? Your local councilman, he don't give a shit if you kill your kid because he's giving these other fools the authority and in some cases, I guess, the downright order to go into your neighborhood and kill as many of the motherfuckers as you want to, right? He don't care. Neither one of those two levels care. It's all about self-esteem. Where the push is coming from on, beating your kids or timeouts, corporal punishment as opposed to, timeouts and other ways of redirecting your kids' bad behavior. The whole psychological thing that's been going on since the 1960s, the psychological argument between, nature versus nurture, et cetera, et cetera. What is happening is that there is a large group of rich people in America that would like to keep, like I said yesterday, that hedge between poor people and middle class people. And there's always something that middle class people can point over that hedge and say, look at them poor people over there. That's the way they act. We don't act like that. My little Timmy is just, the bomb. And little Timmy tried to stab you last night, and he 9.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Little Timmy didn't put on the raincoat with his buddy, and they call themselves the trench coat mafia, and they done took their ass into school and shot 30 motherfuckers.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
And walked out.
Now, this is a motherfucker that then got in his car and drove his ass down the street in Malibu and just started shooting women for the hell of it because he had never got his dick sucked. Come on, man. Let's keep it real. That's what timeout gets you. Which is not to say that all kids who get non-corporal punishment will turn out to be psychopaths. That's not what I'm saying. Most of them will be productive members of society.
Hopefully.
However, the differences in between the behavior of some of them and the difference between the behavior of some of us is not as different as you might think it is. It just takes a different form, and it's punished different. It's viewed different. But as long as I can say there's a group that's worse than me, then there's no problem with me. Because if I'm breaking into your house, stealing your TV, I can always say, well, don't get mad at me because Terry came in here last week. That was who got your computers. That was who got your car. You see what I'm saying? He's worse than me. It's the same exact thing. We get mad at the wrong people. Barack Obama really don't give a shit about what we do inside of our homes, But the people who drive the prison industrial complex, they care. And who are those people? There's the investors behind them. They care. There's money to be made in making sure that we end up in this system.
Yeah, they need a labor
that shit.
They need a labor force.
I don't give a shit about what white people think about how I raise my kids. You see what I'm saying? You don't pay no bills up in here. You start paying the light bills, I might start listening to you. But other than that, you ain't got nothing to do with what go on inside these four walls.
Well, let me preface again when we talk about the actual, the whipping and where that comes from. Sister Erica spoke about, slavery, and she mentioned how we a lot of times it came from us just wanting to protect our children from the white man's noose. But it goes further back than that as well, because it is actually mentioned for those who are spiritual, who do focus on the Bible. I happen to be one of those people. I learned it from when I was little that it is actually mentioned in the Bible about if you beat a child with a rod or you're sparing that child from being ruined. So I'm going to preface that by saying it's in Proverbs. You go to the 23rd chapter, the 13th verse, and you will see it. And it's talking about not withholding correction from a child. And it says, when he has committed a fault and correction is necessary, for to spare it is to ruin of the child. And no proof of true affection is in the parent, but the reverse. So what they're saying is if you fail to give your child that little spanking when he needs it, you're actually hurting your child more than you're helping him, because then there becomes no rules set in place to let the child know how far he can go or how far she should go.
That's
okay. So, and again, and if he and so if that child is to be beaten, and there is no danger of that child dying while he's being whipped with that little rod, or he gets a couple little lashes on him, that is actually a means of correction that is preserving that child's life, so that in the future that child does not become labor for the criminal system, so that that child does not have to die a second death and go to hell because they never knew what correction and what the right path was. So it is based biblically in what God's word says. So if I use that as the basis for giving my child a spanking, and whether I use my hand or whether I use, a tiny little cord, it should not be the white man's business to then knock on my door and try to tell me that I'm a bad parent. Because as I said before, you can take my child and raise them yourself, but I already know they're going to come up with some excuse as to why they can't do it, which is why I revert back to saying, well, you should shut the hell up, and allow me to raise mine the way that I see fit. But this always will be about money. And that's what this Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice cases are about. These are black athletes who are making the NFL look bad, and these white sponsors are saying, enough. We're tired of these black men always coming up here causing problems, and we're going to shut down our money until you do something with these niggas. And that's what that is.
For sure. And with that, on that note, let's switch gears. Let's turn the page. We ended on a spiritual note. Let's put it like that. Next thing. Anybody? I'm assuming that most of us, if not all of us, watched Patrick's video that he put on the page today. That's on YouTube. And excuse me, brother, if I paraphrase this wrong, but what I got from it is that Patrick's idea is that when we had the opportunity to boycott white businesses and make it actually mean something, we didn't take advantage of that. And now it's basically too late. Lightning round. You got 45 seconds. David, is it too late for financial boycotts on a massive scale? Let's put it like that. Did I lose David?
You stumped it. I like the lightning round, though, by the way.
You can't think. Well, I know what he's doing. He's condensing what he has to say down in 30 seconds.
I'll jump on that lightning round. Can I get it?
Get it.
All right. Yes, it's too late. And the reason why is because there are too many dollars of other races that are now available for the white man to replace ours with. So he don't give a damn about your money now because there are too many other people whose money he can get. So that's why we can say, well, I'll tell you what, our way of boycotting is not necessarily to say I won't shop in his store. It's simply to say I will find stores that my people own, and that is where I'll spend my money. So it's more of a silent boycott where you're saying, okay, I'm not necessarily boycotting you. I'm just simply ignoring your store, you see. But no, they don't need our money anymore. At one time they did, before the Hispanic and the Latino brothers and sisters started to, permeate the country, and before our Asian brothers and sisters started to accrue so much wealth in this country, and before our Palestinian brothers who come from overseas have come in and started opening stores and investing in stocks and things. So, yeah, at one time our economic dollar had some power. And I certainly would say, yeah, we could have made a statement at one time. But I think that time has passed us. There's just too many other dollars out there that they can get without needing ours.
Well, I think it's a little different. I agree to a degree, but you got to also understand that, I'm sorry if it's in the background because I'm outside walking, but, we still make up 40% of GDP, so that's still power. But what's going on is that money, that dollar ain't really worth as much. And so when you get to a certain level of wealth, you convert them dollars over into properties. That's what's going to be used, in the future. Precious metals and your property, things that you own. Dollars the paper is not going to mean anything, and we have not converted our dollars the way some of these other groups have. So to a degree, I agree with you to an extent, but it's a different type of wealth that you're talking about.
Erica.
Go
or
ahead.
Jackson. Don't matter.
Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, Jackson could go. I'll go after Jackson.
I don't necessarily think that it's too late. I don't think $1 trillion in annual spending power is anything to sneeze at, even with all the other so-called minority entities entering the market. I mean, there are other options, but $1 trillion is still $1 trillion, which is why you see them cater to us now, currently trying to get those black dollars, because we spend not only everything that we make, but plus the credit card bill. So that's a very valuable asset to have on your books that is coming to you month after month. However, I've been won over by Brother Patrick with his theory on black boycotts is that completely you boycott black businesses to try to get them in line to start working within the community and providing the proper goods and services that we have come to know and respect out of decent businesses. So our people saying, we're going to freeze all the dollars that go into your business if you don't get your shit straight, and start feeding us decent products, decent services at a respectable rate and all that good stuff. But we need to just, like Brother Terry said, just turn our back, white businesses. Maybe not completely, but I feel like at least 50% of our money needs to be going back into our community where it circles around and we can start forming our own banks, our own institutions, and we don't have to rely on anyone else. And this is just following suit of every other community on the planet.
For sure.
Well, see, but there's also an angle that you got to look at that maybe some of us have.
My 45 seconds.
Go ahead, Sister Erica.
Okay, my thing is we aren't in a position to boycott anything because we don't produce anything. If I could walk out of this, where I live at right now, and on my right I have a black-owned grocery store, on my left I have a white-owned grocery store, and I have options and choices, but we don't have it. We don't produce anything. We don't own anything other than hair salons, barbershops, and, we don't own our necessities. Me getting my hair done isn't a necessity. So once we start producing our necessities, then we'll be in a position. But we're not in a position right now because we're consumers, not producers. That's my 45 seconds.
Yay! And you was the only one to stay within it, too. Anyway, I tend to agree with Patrick as well, but for different reasons. I don't think that it's too late. I think it's too much of a heavy lift. And the reason why I say that is that we as black people have a thing about chasing the latest trend. We don't spend any of our money with one specific, even white people. We don't spend it in specific white businesses. About the only person or the only entity I can think of that us not spending our dollars with might hurt them is Walmart, maybe Family Dollar. But we have a tendency of, like in different restaurants, and like some people is on the Chili's thing, some people is on the Chipotle thing, some people like Longhorn Steakhouse, some people like Brazilian Steakhouse, and we don't have any one thing say, okay, well, the majority of my dollars is coming from mostly black folks. We don't have any major retailers, white or black, that we frequent like that. You see what I'm saying? So what we got to do, I think, in my estimation, is we got to bring all those dollars back home, for one thing. But in order for us to do that, we need that second level. I said this on I don't know if it was in a chat or on a show not too long ago, or whenever. My thought has always been our problem is we got too many ground floor businesses. Mm-hmm. We got too many retailers and not enough warehousers, not enough manufacturers.
Now you cooking with fire. Now you talking, brother. You entering into the plea. See, this is what frustrates me about us, because every time you think you come up with something original, then you start reading and researching your people and listening to the master teachers, and they've been talking about this shit for decades. Dr. Claude Anderson mentioned this in the 80s, that it's time to stop competing with one another. If you open up a barbershop and a beauty salon, I come along and say, man, let me open up another barbershop and beauty salon. No, let me open up the supplier business to the barbershop and beauty salon, and let's start vertically integrating our businesses.
All right.
But specifically in the industry, you talked about the industry. I'm telling you, he mentioned this shit so long ago. But black folks predominantly, like the most of the catfish eaten in this country is eaten by black folks. So he was like, why the hell we don't own catfish farms, transportation, businesses, manufacturing hubs, and then retail stores is absolutely asinine. It's absolutely asinine, not to mention black hair, the weave industry. Look, I hate this shit, but the sisters going to wear it, then we might as well profit from the shit. It's ridiculous to make these Koreans rich as hell from, vertically integrating the entire business and then allow you to sew in the damn hair. You make $300 on whatever.
No, and this is what they do. They hire black people to talk about the product. When you go into a beauty supply store and you want to purchase weave, first of all, they barely can speak English. So what they do is hire young black people, black women, and that's who sells you the product. They tell you which grade of the hair is the best, which is the worst, what glue use, what glue. They hire us to promote or sell or talk about the product, and they make the money.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Then what they do is a lot of them pay you under the table, so you don't get no W-2s, no Social Security, you ain't paying no taxes, any of that. They pay them under the table, young girls, to do the hair selling part of it. They don't do any of that. They just run the store and do the hiring and the firing. But they hire black women to sell the product. Now, ain't that something?
Well, you gotta give it to them. They're not stupid.
No, they're not stupid, and that's what the problem is.
Here's the other thing, because here's the thing that's so disrespectful to me, and this, I guess until we start respecting ourselves to this degree, they're going to keep doing this. But go open up a shop in the Korean neighborhood and call yourself hiring a young Korean girl to work there. Go open up some sort of business in an Arab neighborhood and call yourself hiring a young Arab girl to work there. They do things that if we did what they do to us, it would be pitchforks from them, because they ain't having it. But if the moment we stand up to try to take control of our communities, then they all these people they're just so misogynistic, and these people are just over aggressive, and they're so oppressive. These men are being oppressive. Give me a fucking break. You are not going into no Muslim neighborhood, no Arab neighborhood, and hiring a young Arab girl to work the front of your store while a bunch of black dudes in the back frying some fucking chicken or some whatever the hell they is that they eat. First of all, they shouldn't be selling us shit that we could sell our damn self. That's the first thing. But they do things to us that would be highly disrespectful if you do it to them.
Exactly.
But that's not their fault. That's our fault.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
You said, you would go up there and then they're gonna, bring out the pitchforks. No, they wouldn't. They just wouldn't spend their fucking money with you, and they'll run you out of business by just freezing you out.
But they'll wear that girl out and send her back to motherfucking
Now she might get the business for even working there, but 9 times out of 10 she gonna be sharp enough to be like, I ain't working in there. Hell no. So, but we are stupid that when they open up their stores, we're waiting line outside and shit to get in and spend their money with them. But you got the brother Jones that live down the street that volunteer at the high school, that that preach on Sundays, that clean up, got community service going on with the kids on Tuesdays or Saturdays. He opened up the store right next door. You walk in, $5 for an item. You want to say, man, come on, cuz, $3.50. Like, and then you'll go next door and pay $6.50 without even saying shit for the same damn item. It's just, we are a retarded people. I keep saying it, but it's just the damn truth.
You know what? Last night when I made the post and open discussion about the October the 1st being a membership day, this girl asked me twice, bless her heart, how many members do we have? And I took offense to it, and I'm going to be honest, because I feel like when you're dealing with white people and trying to join, the United Way and all of that, you're not asking them how many people donate, who's doing this and who's doing that. Then, like I was saying earlier, we get mad because the NAACP took money from Donna Sterling, but if we're not donating to our own cause, guess who's going to donate? And then they're going to have a say, and they're going to tell us how we should run because they just gave us $100,000. Right. When it comes to us and what we're doing, they question us as if we don't know how to run stuff. And that's our way of thinking. They got the question. You gonna question $24 freaking a year? And all we're trying to do is sacrifice ourselves, going into the black community, being away from our families to build up a black community. And you're gonna question what we're gonna do with your $24 when you don't question Doritos and the ingredients they put in it. You're not asking McDonald's, do you have horse meat or beef today? But you're gonna question the fact that we're trying to go into the black communities and build our communities back up. But that's our way of thinking. White people didn't ask Darren Wilson if he said freeze, black niggas, shut the fuck up. They ain't asked him nothing. All they know is he killed the black boy. We're going to applaud you by giving you our money.
Crazy. David, you got to fire it up. But Brother Terry said something earlier, and I just want to bring that point back up. This is why we just got to start building with the small few people that's ready, willing, and able. We just got to find those individuals, tie them together, and start working to construct things and build small. We just got to start small and just keep building. And then eventually, when the tide turns, when it becomes obvious that, these brothers and sisters are going to get it done, here come the masses, let me get on board. But, most people...
Beautiful point. Perfect point. Because that's a perfect point. Because what's going to happen is once you actually get started and people start to see the ball rolling, then you're always going to get those bandwagon jumpers that are going to want to jump on because they see how positive it is. So that's why I was saying, again, it's important that just a few of us start our own fund. We start our own investment club. We do something just to take care of our business to get it started. And then once the people see that and they start to see the fruits that it's producing, then they're going to want to jump on board. They're not going to question. Why is it, how many people, how many members, and so on and so forth. Now, if I can, I want to piggyback on something that I had started to open up, but I had cut into Sister Erica's time for her 45 seconds. But as a point I wanted to make, and then Brother Jalal actually started to open the door for that. And that's when we were talking about black businesses and boycotting them by placing demands on them to say we want X certain type of product and we want these certain things. One of the things that we've got to look at is that they themselves are underneath the white man's umbrella when they first open a business. Most of the time, they've already gotten a loan from the white man. So they're trying to figure out, what do I do to pay this man back? And then they're under the umbrella then of white suppliers, white shippers, white warehouses, white export entities, and so on. So if we really wanted to place the demands on them, we really would more want to try to work with them to find out how can we cut out the suppliers, or how can we get around the suppliers, or at least find African-American or African suppliers of these different products, African-related shippers, African-related warehousers. You see, and if we hit into that part, then when the product actually reaches the store, we truly can say it's black-owned. But if it's only black-owned at the window because of the loan, but everything else behind the scenes is white-owned, it's really not a black-owned business. You feel me on that?
Yes. Brother David is always talking about how our black community needs to get into transportation business. But that's part of the system that you're talking about.
Absolutely. But what will happen is, yes, you're going to meet with resistance, because as soon as they start to see that, black folks are trying to cut into the white dollar, yes, you are going to meet with some resistance, but we still need to try to push into those avenues regardless, just as we did when the movement came and we got tired of our necks being stepped on. We said, we know some of us are going to have to go ahead and take our place in the grave early as we fight against this white man, but some got to be willing to do it. And I just thank those who were willing to sacrifice their lives. So those of us in this room right now talking on these phones and through these computers, we now have the opportunity to even open our mouths the way we do because of their sacrifices. So why shouldn't we now be willing to make those sacrifices? I mean, my life is halfway over. I'm 52 years old. So if I died, I had my life. So I'm willing to go ahead and go out there on that line. You just got to see if there's some more soldiers that's willing to do the same thing. And very few are. They like their comfort zone. They like their BMWs. They like their houses in the cul-de-sacs. They like having Mr. White Man and Mr. White Man as their neighbors. And so you're going to get very few people that will want to really get down and get dirty.
That's funny you said that, because in the Hidden Colors documentary, one of the brothers said, actually one of the sisters said, money is like amnesia. I mean, anesthetic. I'm sorry. So you get a little bit of it, and then you start getting numb to the circumstances and the situation that your community is going through. So like he was talking about how they don't want to give it up. Like, well, the white man ain't that bad.
But it's so true, you guys. It's so true. It's just what happens is you get a taste of that freedom, and you start to get Toby-itis. Y'all remember Roots when Toby kept trying to run, and finally, Master Tom Moses, I got to cut his name foot off because he's going to keep on trying to run. Well, that's what happened to some of us. We got to be free, and we got a taste of what it was like to run and be free, and we just forgot to run back to the plantation and help some folks who still are trying to get out of the plantation. And the same thing is just applied with 2014 being the year, as opposed to 1977 or 67 or 1850. It's just modern day version of what was going on back then. Some people just got that Toby-itis, man.
Toby-itis.
These people also, their lives are also threatened too. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Just because they made it to that level, especially with the celebrities. They will assassinate. We see it now. We see what they're doing now. So they will assassinate your character, or mess around, be found dead in a tub, of an overdose if you fall out of line. So, but it's what you said, brother. Not too many of us are willing to make those sacrifices that the previous generations made, and not only that, but you're going to be sacrificing yourself against something that has become normal. See, it's normal to have everybody own things in your community besides you. It's normal to have single-parent households. All the things that destroy our community have become normal. So not only are you going to sacrifice yourself, but you sacrifice yourself for something that most people have not even seen before, a life and the reality that most people have not even seen, so...
And with that, we coming up on, I don't know how many minutes. I lost count. I've got to look at
enough.
But anyway, enough. I appreciate everybody coming in today. I appreciate all of your input. I'm reading what Patrick's saying in the background. Patrick, did you ever jump on? I heard somebody else ding. That might have been somebody.
Yeah, I heard somebody ding.
Right, but in any event, appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody's, fire. I appreciate everybody's viewpoint. I appreciate everybody's arguments to, for, and against whatever we were talking about. Again, I apologize to everybody that's out there that's listening, because according to what I can see now, we're back live. There's a setting in here or something that has to be a certain way, or it won't let you broadcast. But we got that taken care of. And hopefully tomorrow everything will be a lot smoother. According to what we've been able to look at, this show was recorded, so we will put this up on the web later on today for everybody that missed the live show or most of the live show. You'll be able to check out what we was talking about, because, these people was crazy. I'm telling you, I was just sitting here trying to keep them in control, and they was like a pack of ravenous pit bulls on a juicy steak or something. They was killing the points today. And with that, I'm gonna give Jackson another try at 5 minutes of positivity, or what is it, 2 minutes of personal moments with Jackson, or whatever it is. I'm gonna let you go and take us out.
hit me again, and I'm not prepared. But I'll say that it's wonderful to dwell amongst a group of Black people who are interested in advancing our agenda, not necessarily against anyone else, but just for ourselves. So I appreciate that type of discussion. I appreciate that type of energy. And I would hope that individuals would take what we do on the radio and do that amongst themselves in their community, in their families, in their circles. So we have a product that we put out called the UI Discussion Party. And this is basically what it's centered around, creating a format for people to come together, bring some food, have a couple of beverages, maybe have the kids around, and sit around and discuss our issues, but under the pretense of getting that information out in the open, building a bond amongst the individuals in the room, and then moving forward into the community to create some action. So it's my hope that, this type of energy that we're putting together on the phone can translate into not only the listeners, but the greater community and those that the listeners can reach.
Thank you, brother. And with that, we're going to end episode 21. What is it? Show number 21?
21.
Show, I got to keep up with the numbers because I didn't get into it until show number 12 or something like that, so I'm behind.
We're not going to end. I got one last thing to say. Don't forget to go to www.urbanintellectual.com/members. Become a member, $24 a year, $2 a month, or www.urbanintellectuals.com/donate, and you can donate as much as you want.
I just messed up my intro. I'm getting ready to throw it into you. That's what I'm saying. That you just like that player. I'll throw you the alley-oop pass, but you done already jumped and you done missed the ball. Now you done made us both look bad.
Sorry.
But I thank you for those words, UI Jane, and I hope that everybody attends the membership party or the membership drive or the membership day. I forget what Erica calls it. And I hope that everybody would see the value in contributing to our group and even to join our group, even if you don't have any money, even if you don't want to give us no money. Join.
Hey, KP, real quick, is there another option other than PayPal for the people? Because what if people don't know about PayPal and all that?
Well, you would have to go through it and click through it, but there's another option in there that you can put in a debit card number.
Okay.
Or you could take down my address. I'm going to give it out now, and you can send cash to me. Wait a minute. I ain't get no laughs for that. I swear. Let a nigga get famous.
I believe we do have a address that should be on the site. Am I right, Erica?
It is.
It is.
Okay. I know you sent it in the open form, but I just can't remember if we put that up on the site. So we need to get that up there. That's a great point there.
Yeah, and I asked because that's the only option I saw was PayPal as an option, and I think there may be some people who just don't deal with PayPal or just don't trust it and that kind of thing. So I just want you guys to have every option out there possible to collect the dollars. You see,
right? That's a good point.
And with that, now we are going to end show number 21. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Every day between 1 and 1:15, depending on when everybody shows up, because, we try and be authentic Black people, so we ain't going to never be on time.
Oh, no.
Was that a stereotype or what?
Yeah, yes, it was. That is not moving us forward.
No worries, we'll edit that part out.
Yeah. But anyway, sometime between 1:15, depending when everybody's schedules basically come together. That's when we'll come together and you'll be able to listen to us run off at the mouth for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. I don't know how long we've been here until we basically run out of steam. And I implore everybody to join us in the chat room, call into the show, hit the podcast on, hit the open discussion on Facebook. And, hey, what Jalal said was some bullshit and tell me why. And participate in the movement. Do something to move us forward. Participate with us. We need help. And for that, I'm Jalal, for Jackson, UI Jane, my guy Terry, And for I Am David,